Okay, back to part two of Muckle, um, chapter 11 on the family. Exogamy is not very recognizable in America today because we live in these complex communities with um, lots and lots of people that we meet every day that we don't know. Um, it's not so important to marry outside the group. But if you think of people living in small villages that are sort of everyone is related to everyone else, it's really important for making sure that you marry outside the group. Endogamy is much more common among our society because there are so many options for marriage, and so sometimes religious groups or social classes will say, "Hey, marry. Um, you know, I don't care who you marry, just make sure they're Christian, or make sure they're Catholic, or make sure they're Jewish, or make sure they're not from high school. That you marry someone from college. All of these concerns that parents have that their kids marry within the group." Um, In the Bible, the patriarch Abraham was married to his half sister Sarah. This was important. His son Abraham, Isaac. Isaac was married to Sarah's brother's son. Um, then Jacob married, I think, another daughter or granddaughter. I don't remember how it works, but it's all marrying within the maternal slash paternal line because it was the same line. And this is pretty common when you have these patrilineages where it's all. Um, we'll talk about this. The segmented lineage. Probably we'll talk about it coming up. In any case, the incest taboo. When we're talking about incest here, we're not talking about the crime of abusing children. We're talking about people who legally can get married. So that's important. I think we had the Wikipedia page open for cousin marriage. Um, we all agree that first cousins should not get married. But if you look at the law, the letter of the law, the states vary on whether it's actually illegal to marry someone who is a first cousin. Definitely, there's no bans on second cousins getting married. So people who share a great grandparent get married in the United States. However, for many Koreans, that would be totally illegal. Um, the in South Korea, it is illegal for fifth cousins to get married. So not just first, not just second. So you have to, if you share a common great 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 grandparent, uh, then you can't get married. And in the United States, to be like, how do you even know that, right? There's no way that we keep that kind of detailed records. I mean, maybe a specialist would, but you meet someone and you fall in love and get married, and you find out you share a great 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 grandparent. It's no big deal, right? It's so far back. So you can see here that the incest taboo is a moving line. It's a arbitrary, culturally constructed line between too closely related to marry and far enough related to where you can legally get married. Has nothing to do with the biology, but we're coming to that. I mean, it does, but not. Most importantly, psychological lack of sexual attraction for children raised together. So this has to do with siblings. Social, that there could be role confusion if you're a cousin but you're also a spouse. That could be a problem. Political alliances contribute to social stability, so it's sort of a enforcement of exogamy, is to have these taboos against too much endogamy. And biological, and this is not an important. This is not incredibly important, as anyone who's had dogs re breed across generations know. Closely related people are more likely to share recessive genes that code for inherited disorders. So, um, as we know, the entire you'll be a mutant, right? You'll have mutant. Your kids will be mutants. Well, yeah. I mean, technically, blue eyes are a mutation, and so people who have blue eyes are mutants. And if you marry someone who also has blue eyes, they will, the kids will be mutants. The kids will have blue eyes, likely. So, so when we're talking about these recessive genes, the specific ones that code for inherited disorders, you are just if you marry someone who is unrelated to you but shares the same. Let me put this up here so you can see it. If you marry someone who is unrelated to you, except maybe, 50 generations back or whatever, or 100 or 200, however far back you go. I mean, you look at the inheritance. I don't know. I think something like 70 or 80% of Europeans are descended from Charlemagne, because he was a big king, and had a lot of kids. And the populations were so small back then, compared to what they are today. Mathematically speaking, everyone is related to everyone 1,000 years back, for the most part, or millions and millions of people. So, if you marry someone who is related to you on that level, not related to you in any meaningful sense, and they share those same recessive genes for whatever disorder it is that is very, very bad, spinal bifida or something like that, then you're going to have a greater chance that your offspring will have that same disorder. That it will be expressed in the second generation. If you're related to them, right? If they're blood relative of you, then that increases the likelihood that you'll share that recessive gene. But just because they're not related to you doesn't mean they also don't share that same gene, okay? And this is why genetic testing is so important, especially for people who belong to historically endogamous groups. So historically endogamous groups like Amish people, like Orthodox Jews, especially people who have to marry such a narrow, limited range of people, and you go back 20 generations, and it was even more limited. And there's not a lot of um, conversion into the group, or much of a uh, what's the effect that brings new genetic material. Once you have those situations, and people really need to get genetically tested, because you need to know about it if you have a 1 in 12 chance of your child having this genetic disorder. The big one was the royal family in Europe, and hemophilia. Okay, so I'm sure now anytime a royal gets married, they do that genetic testing just to make sure, should we adopt actually instead of trying to have kids, because hemophilia is nothing you want to get involved in. Family residence patterns. We have nuclear family, only 2 generations, the parents and the children living in the same household. That is relatively rare historically and in the wider human experience. But it's sort of the norm for Americans today. It's the locality is neolocal. The couple move into a new home when they marry. The opposite of this is the extended family, where you have multiple generations with people who are related by blood, consanguineal kin, as we call them, sharing their home with people related by marriage, or affinal kin. So you'll have, if it's patrilocal, you will have a father and mother, and if they have 4 sons, then you'll have those 4 sons and their 4 wives, and then if they each have 16 kids, then they'll have 16 kids. And so the father, the 4 sons, and the 16 kids are all all consanguineal kin. And then the mother is consanguineal, after they have kids, as are the wives, but they're technically affinal because they're related into the group by marriage. They don't belong, especially when you bring up patrilineality, and people who are related by blood. Uh, then it's down through the male line. Then it gets clearer that the mothers are in their father's line, and not in their husband's father's line. So matrilineal, remember, has to do with descent and inheritance. Matrilocal has to do with residence, and then matriarchal has to do with rule or power. So these are not mutually exclusive. You can have a matrilineal society where you inherit through the mother's line, but the residence could be patrilocal, and it could be patriarchal or matriarchal. Women could be in power, or men would be in power. These are completely independent variables here going on. It's just lineality has to do with how you inherit that property. Locality has to do with where you reside, and archy has to do with rule or power.